Chapter 31. The Hobgoblins. The party walked out of the orc cave and dumped Bornok's dead body in the valley with the other dead orcs. Latia: so should we just go to the Hobgoblin cave, or should we go back to the keep first? Lightmane: I see no reason to go back to the keep right now. Turning to Jograth: do you really want to fight hobgoblins with us? Jograth: absolutely. I want to destroy everything here, just as much as you do, except for the orcs, of course. Lightmane: orcs are evil. You've acknowledged that. So why don't you want to destroy them? Jograth: because they're my brethren. Also because they took me in. Lightmane: if the clerics in the temple are human, or even if they're elven, we're going to kill them, because they're evil. The fact that they might be one of our races means nothing. We're choosing, for now, to let the orcs live, partly because of you, and also because they've agreed to not attack anyone on the road, just like the kobolds have. So for now, we're letting them be. But they're evil, so I don't know how long this truce will last, but we'll see. Jograth: if a monster just sits in its cave and lives its life and leaves everyone alone, do you feel that you must go kill it simply because you assume it's evil, or even if it is evil? Those clerics are engaged in activities that are killing people. Taking action against them makes sense. Taking action against these orcs, or those kobolds over there, doesn't. They're not doing anything wrong. The difference to me is obvious. Lightmane, thinking for a second: point taken, which is why we have a truce. For now. We shall see what happens. Oh, on a different topic, I wasn't sure, but I am now. It's interesting how achieving a progression appears to be a gradual realization. I've finally achieved the second progression as a wizard. Phileas: I have too. I wasn't sure either at first. Interesting how that works. All of a sudden I realized that there's room in my brain to memorize another spell. Interesting title for an illusionist of the second progression: Minor Trickster. Next is Trickster, then Master Trickster. If you were wondering if these titles are random, I think we have our answer. Lightmane: oh, they were totally selected at random. The second progression for a wizard is referred to as an evoker, which is a specialist, like an illusionist. Nightwind, sounding unhappy: I'm now a swordsman. Everyone looked at Nightwind, who was now holding his warhammer and shield instead of his battle axe. Nightwind: dwarves are not swordsmen, so yeah, these titles are random and don't mean anything. I think it's just a status thing. Do you know what the fourth progression for a warrior is referred to as? Jack: uh-oh, I have a feeling this is going to be good. Nightwind: a hero. Can you explain to me why anyone would refer to themselves as a hero rather than to someone who is actually a hero because of what they did? I'm so confused. Lightmane: like you said, it's more of a status thing. It's the 9th progression where it actually makes sense. High Priest, Master Rogue, Warrior Lord, Mage, and so on. Those are real titles. So clearly others decided to add titles to show the progression to the 9th. So it would appear. But on another topic, how about we go sit at a table in the other orc cave so Phileas and I can memorize our extra level 1 spell? I'm going to memorize Burning Hands. How about you? Phileas: same. 1 more Burning Hand spell. Jograth: I will gladly share my spells with you. I can't learn illusion spells, though, or enchantments. Phileas, and I can't learn necromantic spells either, but Jack and Lightmane can. Jack, necromancy. Sounds a little intimidating, but what do you have? Jograth, my favorite spell is Darkfire. It's similar to Burning Hands, except the fire is black and people don't heal from it very well, he said, smiling. Jack, oh, sounds lovely, he said sarcastically. Jograth, Ray of Fatigue is my other one. It makes you tired. Good spell when you need to run away, or when you're facing down someone you think you can't beat. Jack, now that one I'm interested in. I'll have to read your Darkfire spell a little bit more before deciding if I'm interested in it. Not sure how much dark magic I want to have in my spellbook. Jograth, I understand. How about you, Lightmane? Lightmane, same. Sounds interesting though. Let's go in the other orc cave and memorize another spell. That won't take very long. We can swap spells some other time. When they entered the cave, the male orcs were near the entrance and were quite startled, but Jograth's presence kept them calm. Lightmane and Phileas sat at a table, lit a torch and stuck it in the wall, which was quite easy to do with all the cracks and grooves in it, and opened their spellbooks and started memorizing, which only took around 10 to 15 minutes or so. Latia, so Jack, how do you wizards actually memorize spells? Us druids and clerics receive them through prayer and meditation. They are given to us. There is no memorization involved. How does that work exactly? Jack, that might be hard to explain. The reason almost no one is a wizard is because it takes great mental mastery, which most people don't have, or haven't unlocked that power in their mind. It's quite easy to see why some wizards go dark and even become insane. The power to be able to lock a magic spell in your brain is quite an ego boost. You start feeling superior to others. Jack glanced over at Jograth. That's why most wizards who are in training are taught humility and honor, because without it, you can become a monster. Jograth, I understand why you fear me, but I assure you that dark magic no more takes control of your mind than light magic. Jack, that might be true, but dark magic is more enticing, so those who are consumed with power often turn to necromantic magic. It's kind of a natural progression. If you are evil, it would make sense to act the opposite, to convince us that you can be trusted. We'll need to see a lot more before we're convinced. Jograth, understood. I'm glad you're willing to at least give me a chance. Most don't, which is why I am where I am now. Latia, well, we can understand that too. So here's hoping you're just as good of a person as you seem to be, she said, smiling. Jograth, thank you, Latia. I appreciate your words. With their spells memorized, the party headed over to the Hobgoblin Cave. It was on the south side of the valley, directly across from Gluguk's cave, and just as high up. The cave entrance went in 20 feet south and oddly ended in a door, a very sturdy-looking oaken door. Affixed to the walls of the cave were skulls, and several skulls were also affixed to the oaken door. Carved in the door in the common tongue were the words, "Come in, we'd like to have you for dinner." Nightwind, come in, we'd like to have you for dinner? To whom is this message meant for? It must be for adventurers, 'cause I doubt any of the creatures here can read. Lightmane, so did they carve these words in the door to scare adventurers away, or to lure them inside? Latia, does it matter? I think they carved them to try to scare people. Had this been the first cave we entered, we might be scared right now. I can't say for certain that I wouldn't be. Let's open it. Nightwind, I'm trying. It won't budge. Belfin, must be locked. Let Phileas and I examine it. Nightwind, locked where? I see no lock anywhere, just a handle here to pull it open. Phileas, could have a secret mechanism somewhere. Lightmane, hobgoblins made a door with a secret mechanism? Jograth, the clerics could have done it. Belfin, found it. Yeah, this is quite clever. I'd be shocked if any hobgoblin knows how to make this. Belfin pulled open the large oaken door, and the party found themselves at another four-way intersection, with the west passage angling up to the north. 10 feet down the south passage were steps that were carved into the rock that went up. The party heard no sounds down any passage. They got in their marching order, and Jilgrath walked next to Jack. Jack. 4 wizards now. This is getting out of hand. Lightmane. Yes, that's a lot of wizards. Well, shall we just pick a path? Nightwind. Let's go left. Lightmane. Is that you picking a path? Nightwind. Exactly. The east passage went 20 feet and turned south, then went 10 feet and turned east, and then continued east, but also went south. They kept going down the east passage, which would occasionally turn south and then back east a couple times before finally ending in a door. The party figured they had walked maybe 200 feet from the cave entrance. Phileas and Belfin listened at the door, but heard nothing. They opened it, and beyond was a very large room, 20 feet by 50 feet, but was 30 feet wide where they were. Inside, along the southern wall, were many sleeping hobgoblins, maybe half a dozen males and females with some kids as well. Opening the door, though, along with their torchlight, woke some of them up, and they started screaming, which woke everyone else up. Jack started casting sleep, which felt odd at the moment since they were already sleeping, while Lightmane, Nightwind, Latia, and Tenneth moved to attack. The henchman dropped the wheelbarrow and moved into the room with everyone else. Jack's sleep spell went off, and all the kids and 2 female hobgoblins fell asleep, leaving 5 males and 4 females. The hobgoblins were scrambling to grab weapons and fight. The females grabbed clubs, while the males had longswords. Nightwind and Lightmane both hit a goblin with their weapon, doing quite a bit of damage, but they attacked back. Nightwind easily blocked its attack with his shield, while Lightmane blocked with his sword. The hobgoblins on Latia and Tenneth both blocked their attacks, but the one on Latia hit her with his sword, which did quite a bit of damage. Shinfia quickly moved to help Latia and kicked the hobgoblin in its side. Jilgrath attacked the last male hobgoblin, cutting into his side pretty good. But the hobgoblin's sword cut across his chest, but the leather armor absorbed some of the damage. Belfin, Phileas, Jack, and the 2 henchmen, John and Bill, each engaged a female hobgoblin. Belfin and Phileas each hit the female on them, but both were still standing and fought back. The one on Jack hit him with her club high on his leg, causing a lot of pain, and the one on Bill also hit him with her club, almost knocking him down. Latia's sword cut across the hobgoblin's chest, dropping it. Tenneth's mace smashed into the hobgoblin's body, hurting him badly, while Jilgrath's sword cut through another. All the hobgoblins turned to flee, but Nightwind's hammer dropped one, and Lightmane's sword dropped another. Belfin was able to drop the female on him. Seeing them all flee, Phileas cast sleep, and luckily all the rest fell asleep. Jilgrath and the henchmen went around killing all the sleeping goblins. Latia. Okay, hobgoblins are definitely stronger than goblins, let alone bigger, but why do I all of a sudden feel bad for these creatures? Shinfia. Maybe because you see males and females with children? Jilgrath. If they saw you with children, they'd slaughter your children in front of you and then slaughter you. They'd show no mercy. Lightmane. So would orcs, yet you protect them. Jilgrath. Because I'm half orc. If I were half hobgoblin and they accepted me, I'd try to protect them too. But hobgoblins are more evil than orcs. Jack. More evil? How do you determine the level of evil between an orc and a hobgoblin, or a goblin, or whatever? I just see evil monsters who are attacking people on the road. Had they all just stayed in their caves, we're not even here. Jilgrath. I agree, but it's only because of those clerics in the temple that the roads are being attacked. Lightmane. I'm not so sure of that. Sure, that's part of it, but these creatures have attacked people on roads before. It's not just here that this is happening. It's happened in many places. That's why people usually only travel in caravans, for the protection. Jack is right that we probably wouldn't be here, had it not been for the temple organizing it. At least that's how it's looking now, but I'm not certain that's all this is. Take the temple out of the picture, and you've still got a bunch of caves with a bunch of monsters in a valley that's not too far from the road. I'm pretty sure that attacks would still occur, and adventurers would eventually come here to try and destroy them. Latia. What do you say we have this discussion some other time and search the room and the bodies and continue on? I'm really surprised how far away from the entrance this room is. I feel like we're close to the Goblin Cave. I'm wondering if we're behind it. The male hobgoblins had 37 copper and 13 silver coins, which the party was very happy to see. The female hobgoblins had 21 copper coins total. Jack, they've got silver coins too. Nice. Bill and I could use some healing. Bill, yes, she got me good with that club of hers. If there's a lot of these creatures, I'm a little concerned. John and I aren't as powerful as you all, but we'll do what we can. Nightwind, if things go well, boys, we'll get you some good armor and shields, along with better weapons, too. If you're willing to fight with us, which you clearly are, then we need to better equip you. At first, we just assumed you'd push the wheelbarrow and maybe help out at times. Now I almost wish we went back to the keep first. Lightmane, I think we made the right decision. The quicker we do this, the better, I feel. Tenneth cast Cure Light Wounds on Jack and Bill, but it only healed their wounds a little. Tenneth, wish we had healing potions. They heal more than Cure Light Wounds. The room had the usual furnishings and junk, but the food and drink looked better than the others. Not great, but better. There was a door on the eastern wall. It was where the hobgoblins were fleeing to. Phileas, where do you think this leads? I feel like we've gone so far east, we're almost at the front of the valley. They heard nothing at the door, and beyond was another eastern passage that went 20 feet to stairs going down east, and then they turned north. Again, the party heard nothing, so they went down the stairs, which led into the Goblin Cave where they first began. Lightmane, well, look where we are. The Goblin Cave is connected to the Hobgoblin Cave. Had we gone this way instead of west, we would have seen these stairs and possibly have fought hobgoblins next. The thought of that was a little chilling for Latia. I, for one, sure am glad we didn't encounter any hobgoblins then. I think we're much more prepared for them now, though. The party went back up the stairs and headed back west until they came to the passage that turned north, the one they passed by earlier. The passage went north and east, back and forth, before entering a very large room, 20 feet by 40 feet, the contents of which were horrifying. The room had a crude central fire pit that was circled in rocks. Chained to the east wall were 6 prisoners, 3 men, 1 woman, 1 gnoll, and 1 orc. 2 very large hobgoblins sat at a table in the southwest corner and sprang to their feet when the party entered. One of them had a whip and used it immediately. It wrapped around the dwarf's legs, and the hobgoblin pulled, and Nightwind's legs flew up and his body went down. His head hit the floor and he was out cold. Lightmane thought about casting sleep, but decided to save it, since there were only 2 hobgoblins, and moved to attack. Latia bent down to attend to Nightwind, while Tenneth moved to help Lightmane. Jack waited, but Jilgrath ran up with Tenneth. Belfin and Phileas moved around the north part of the room towards the prisoners, while Shinfia ran up to engage the hobgoblins, while the henchmen also tried to go help the prisoners. Both hobgoblins wore chainmail. The one with the whip dropped it and pulled out his sword and attacked. His sword cut into Lightmane, damaging him badly, but Lightmane's sword cut into the hobgoblin, which also damaged him pretty bad. Tenneth was able to block the other hobgoblin's attack, but both he and Shinfia failed to damage it either. Jilgrath's sword, though, cut into the hobgoblin, and it fell. Now there was just 1 hobgoblin in melee with Tenneth and Shinfia. Lightmane and Jilgrath joined, and they surrounded him, but his sword cut into Tenneth, wounding him badly. Tenneth attacked back, but missed again, but Shinfia stunned him, and Lightmane finished him off. There were keys on the wall above the table, and the party released everyone but the gnoll and the orc. The orc wore a blue armband. Jilgrath talked to him in Orcish. Jilgrath, I told him what happened to the blue tribe, and he's asking to please let him go join them. Is that okay? Tenneth, he's not going anywhere at the moment. The last thing we need is an escaped prisoner running around here. Turning to the 4 human prisoners, Tenneth cast Cure Light Wounds on the one who looked the worst off, and then on the woman. Woman, thank you so much for rescuing us. My name is Jennifer, and this is my husband Robert, and these two men work for us as guards. Our caravan was attacked. I don't know if anyone else is alive. Lightmane. Robert and Jennifer. The keep posted a sign on your apartment door saying you had gone missing over a week ago. We're glad we found you. We will try to get all of you back to the keep now, but first you need food and more healing. Latia, who was still tending to Nightwind. Guys, there's some food on this table here. It looks pretty good. Robert was barely conscious, so they brought the food to him. There was bedding next to the table, so after he ate, they carried him and laid him on the hides, and Jennifer laid with him. Nightwind. What happened? Latia. You hit your head, but you'll be fine. The hobgoblins are dead, and we've rescued some prisoners, but one is a gnoll, and another is an orc. Nightwind. Where's that whip? I want it. Latia, smiling now. It's right here on the table. He got you good. I say he got lucky, though. Latia and Tenneth applied their herbs and healing salve to the 4 human prisoners. Latia then cast her healing spell on Tenneth. He started to object, but she stopped him. Latia. You're badly wounded. We need you alive. Guard. My name is George. This is Bob. Thank you for saving us. George and Bob sat at the table and ate. Now the party had to decide what to do with the gnoll and the orc. The gnoll was around 6.5 feet tall. His eyes were wild, and he was wounded. Belfin. Are all gnolls crazy like this one? Phileas. No clue, but he's weak, and he looks a little delirious. I say we kill him. I'd say kill the orc too, but I'm sure you'd have a problem with that. Jilgrath. He's no threat to you. He'll listen to me. Lightmane. Keep him tied up regardless. Make it so he can walk but not run. Same with the gnoll for now, unless someone wants to try to talk to the gnoll too. Jilgrath ran his sword through the gnoll, killing it quickly and easily. Jilgrath. Now we don't have to worry about the gnoll. I'll tie this one up so he can't run away. Once we're outside, he can go. I've already told him this. Lightmane, not looking happy. Fine, but next time don't just kill something without discussing it with us first. Got it? Jilgrath. It's a gnoll. Did you want it to go tell its fellow gnolls all about us? Lightmane. I'm just saying, we discuss as a group before taking any rash actions. Actions. Unless we have to, of course. Jilgrath. Understood. Latia. Robert is in no condition to walk. We need to rest and get back our spells anyway. Shinfia. We can put these hides in the wheelbarrow and wheel him back to the keep. You all can walk, yes? Bob. Yes, and we'll help Jennifer if she needs us to. Latia. We have to rest first, and then we'll try to get out of here. This is the first time we've been in battles in these caves without drawing others to us. These rooms are apparently quite far from the rest of the hobgoblins. Hopefully no one will come over here until we're gone. Jack. Yes, but what about when we come back? Latia. We'll just have to deal with that later. The party rested, and fate apparently was on their side again, for no one came into the room. They cast all their healing spells on those who appeared to need it the most, Robert, Latia, and Tenneth, as the guards and Jennifer mostly just needed rest and nourishment. Robert, though, was still going in and out of consciousness, so Latia tended to his wounds some more, and soon he came around. Latia. It's okay. We're friends. Your wife is here. Jennifer came over to Robert, who was now laying on the hides in the wheelbarrow. These adventurers have saved us. We're heading back to the keep now. See, I told you we would get rescued. You need to start believing in me. Robert, looking at his wife. You were right. Then turning to the party. I thought we were done for. We owe you our lives. You will be rewarded, I promise. Jack. That sounds great, but first we've got to get you to the keep. So let's head out, shall we? The party made their way back to the cave entrance and encountered no hobgoblins on the way there. They went east through the valley and back to the road. They were all feeling quite fortunate, happy that they'd encountered nothing up to this point. But their luck finally changed. The road here was close to the woods on both sides, but it slowly started to bend toward the west, and as they were coming around that bend, they could hear the sounds of battle up ahead. The party ran up, leaving just Shinfia and their 2 henchmen with the others. Up ahead, they saw a horrible scene. A caravan was being attacked by 8 bugbears. These 7-foot tall, hideous-looking monsters had bodies that looked similar to a bear, but they stood on 2 feet. Their fur was a light but filthy-looking yellowish brown, and they swung warhammers and held large shields. Their armor looked like very thick leather. The caravan had many guards who were attacking the bugbears, but it wasn't going well. 3 guards were on the ground, leaving 9 still fighting, but none of the bugbears had fallen yet, but several were wounded. Tenneth started casting Hold Person, hoping to take out one, while Jack and Phileas both started casting Sleep. Lightmane, Nightwind, Latia, and Jilgrath all ran to engage them, while Belfin looked around, trying to find a good spot to attack from. The guards finally took out a bugbear, but 2 more guards fell as well. Tenneth's spell worked this time, holding one of the bugbears, while Jack and Phileas's sleep spells each dropped another one, but 2 guards also fell asleep. There were now 5 guards fighting 4 bugbears, as the others ran up and attacked. Nightwind's hammer connected, hitting the bugbear in its side. It turned and swung at the dwarf, but failed to do any damage. Lightmane attacked, but his sword didn't penetrate the armor, and the bugbear's hammer caught the elf good and almost dropped him. Latia thought about casting her earth bow, but decided to just run up with the others and attack. Her sword cut into the bugbear, who turned and hit her with his hammer. The strength of the blow shocked her, but she managed to stay standing. Jilgrath's sword cut into the bugbear's flesh, and it cried out, but swung at the half-orc, knocking him back. One of the guard's swords hit the bugbear on Jilgrath, badly wounding it, while another hit the bugbear on Lightmane, cutting into him pretty good. Bob: "My God, what are those things? We must hide in case your friends die. Please help us." Shinfia, looking at everyone: "Okay, fine, let's go in the woods here, but if they need me, I have to leave you and go fight." Jennifer: "Thank you for helping us." The henchmen and Shinfia helped Bob and George move the wheelbarrow into the woods and tried to hide as best they could. Lightmane attacked again, and this time his sword badly wounded the bugbear, but the bugbear hit him again and he fell. The bugbear on Nightwind was able to block his attack, and this time his hammer slammed into the dwarf's chest. The plate mail absorbed some of it, but the strength of the blow still damaged the dwarf pretty good. Latia's sword cut into the bugbear, and she thought for sure she had him, but he didn't fall, and his hammer slammed into her side, dropping her. When Shinfia saw Latia fall, she ran to help, and everyone hiding in the woods became terrified. Jilgrath's sword clanged off the bugbear's shield, but Jack hit him with magic missile, and the bugbear fell. One of the guards fighting by Lightmane slashed the bugbear, dropping it just as Belfin attacked the bugbear on Latia from behind, and his sword ripped into the bugbear's body, and it fell. One of the guards hit the one on Nightwind, but it was still fighting. There was just one bugbear left standing. One of the guard's swords cut into it just as its hammer slammed into the dwarf again, knocking him down. Nightwind started to get back up, but saw the bugbear fall as black flames came out of Jilgrath's fingers and shot forth into the bugbear's body, killing it, just as Shinfia came running up fast. Tenneth immediately went over to Lightmane and bound his wounds, while Jilgrath bound Latia. Tenneth: "You know how to bind wounds?" Jilgrath: "Doesn't everybody?" Guard: "You've saved us. We owe you our lives. We thought for sure we were all going to die." The guards all started binding the wounds of their fallen, but 2 were dead. Latia seemed stable, but Lightmane wasn't. He was close to death. So Tenneth applied his healing salve and used some of Latia's herbs as best he could. He wasn't as proficient in the use of herbs like Latia was. He'd used them before, but not as often as she did. People in the caravan, who were hiding behind wagons and wheelbarrows, came up to the party to thank them, and a young woman who wore a light brown cloak with a hood came and sat next to Tenneth. Lisa: "Hello, my name is Lisa. I have an item that will help your wounded friend here." She took off the medallion that she wore around her neck and started to put it on Lightmane, but Tenneth stopped her. Tenneth: "Wait, what is that? What are you doing?" Lisa: "Do not worry. This will heal him." She put it on the elf. Tenneth: "What is it?" Lisa: "I don't know exactly. I call it my medallion of healing, for that's what it does. My grandfather gave it to me many years ago. You must promise that you'll give it back to me after he's healed. Tenneth, seeing it already starting to heal Lightmane. Thank you for this, and yes, we will give it back. Do not worry, we are not thieves. Lightmane's wounds continued to heal as Tenneth watched, and then the elf opened his eyes. Lightmane, looking at Tenneth. Thanks. Tenneth, don't thank me. Thank this girl here. Her medallion healed you. Lightmane looked at the girl. Even with her cloak over her head, he saw that she was a half-elf. Lightmane, you're a half-elf. Tenneth, what? I thought she was human. Lisa, yes, I'm a half-elf, though most humans don't notice that easily, especially when I'm wearing my cloak. But of course the elf noticed, she said, smiling. I wasn't trying to hide my identity, especially since there's both an elf and a half-elf in your party. I just like wearing my cloak. Tenneth, are you a cleric? Lisa, no, I'm just a normal girl, traveling with my family to the keep. Lightmane, well, this is quite a medallion you have here. Apparently I won't require a lot of rest. Could you go put it on Latia now, and then the guards? Lisa, okay. Unfortunately, it can't help the people who died. I wish it could. Phileas, 42 copper and 23 silver pieces. That's what those bugbears had on them. So glad they collect shiny objects too, he said, smiling. A human from the caravan came over. Keep it. You've saved all of our lives. I am Lane, and this is my caravan. You've already met my daughter Lisa. This is my wife, Leannon. Lane then introduced all the others who were traveling in the caravan. There were 8 other people, just travelers on their way to the keep for various reasons. Lane was a tall, good-looking man who looked to be in his 40s, while his wife was a very beautiful-looking elf. Jack, Lane, Leannon, and Lisa. That's cute. I like it. If I ever marry a woman named Jill, we'll name our daughter Jane and our son Jim. Jilgrath looked at Jack. Jack, oh, I wasn't making fun of you, Jilgrath. I guess it kind of sounded like I was. Jilgrath, Jack and Jill. Do you know a woman named Jill? Jack, nope, not yet. Just a half-orc, he said, smiling, but Jilgrath didn't smile back. Jack, now feeling a little awkward. Anyway, we are traveling to the keep too. We've rescued some people from hobgoblins. We were taking them to the keep when we heard the sounds of battle. Good thing we were here when we were. As the others came walking up, Lane and Leannon recognized Jennifer and ran to greet her. Lane, they are our friends. They're one of the reasons we were traveling here. The other, of course, was to buy and sell items. People said it was dangerous, but I didn't believe them. I figured it was no more dangerous than any other road. Perhaps I was wrong. Never saw such giant monsters before. What were those things? Lightmane, they're called bugbears. We've never seen them before either, but have heard about them a little. Lane, just now seeing the half-orc. One of you is a half-orc? Why do you travel with this creature? Lightmane, feeling a little nervous now. He's not a member of our party. He's traveling with us, though, for now. We were dealing with orcs. He's helping us. Lane, helping you to do what? Save the orcs? Lightmane, seeing there was now a problem. He's helping us fight hobgoblins. If it wasn't for him, we might not be here right now. Lane, I see. Well, you've saved our lives, so for that we are grateful, but we do not travel with half-orcs. I must pay you something, though. Here is 10 gold coins. It is not a lot, considering you saved our lives, but I hope you will accept it as payment. Jack, taking the money and looking quite happy about it. We accept it, and thank you, but your daughter's medallion has more than paid us back. Lane, we can take them to the keep for you. No reason for you all to travel there now. They're our friends. We'll take care of them. As soon as the medallion has healed you all, let us part company and go our separate ways. It was very clear to everyone what the problem was, and they didn't want to make it worse. Lightmane, we understand. We will stay here for a while after we've all healed, while you all head to the keep. Good travels. Lane, good travels. Lane turned back to his caravan, but Jennifer spoke up. Jennifer, no, wait. We too must pay you for saving us. We owe you our lives, and now you just saved everyone here. I have no money with me, but we have plenty at the keep. Lane has many items here. If there's something you want, I will pay him for it. My gifts to you all for saving us." The henchmen were eyeing the suits of chainmail armor that were in a wagon, along with some longswords and small shields. There was also a suit of bandit armor that looked like it might fit Latia. They gave them their used armor in exchange. Lisa then came over to them. Lisa: "I can never part with my medallion, but I can part with this. It is the least I can do for you." She handed them a dagger. "My grandfather gave this to me too, but I don't need it. He said there's a small enchantment on it. Nothing powerful, but still better than a normal dagger. I hope it brings you luck." Belfin took the dagger. The caravan put Robert in a wagon with the hides, put the medallion on him, and headed down the road. Jilgrath: "They saw me kill one of the bugbears, but the moment they realized I was a half-orc, look what happened. This is why I wear a cloak." Jack: "It's okay. You're just lucky you met us. We've already gone adventuring with goblins and a kobold, and we're still having trust issues. It just comes with the territory, I guess." Tenneth: "We'll have our healing spells back very soon. Then we can head back to the Hobgoblin Cave. How are you feeling, Latia?" Latia: "Like I never want to fight another bugbear ever again. Those things are terrifying. Wish we had a medallion like that, though. I wonder where her grandfather got it." They continued to talk about all that had transpired today until they were back at the cave entrance. At the four-way intersection, there were stairs going up to the south and the passage that went northwest. Nightwind chose the stairs. They went up for about 30 feet or so, and at the top was another T intersection. The passage to the east, though, just went 40 feet and ended. Belfin and Phileas checked there for traps, but found none, so everyone examined the walls, looking to see if there might be a secret passage somewhere, but they found nothing. So they turned around and went down the west passage, which turned north, and then back west again, and now they could all hear sounds further down the passage. Tenneth decided to just go ahead and cast Curse. Latia readied her bow, and Nightwind grabbed his throwing hammer. The henchmen set the wheelbarrow down, took the small shields off their backs, and grabbed their longswords. The party moved forward. Beyond was a huge room, 30 feet by 70 feet, that had over 20 hobgoblins, males, females, and kids, who were all in the western section. There were a couple torches along the north and south walls, and they could see at the back of the room 6 tables with benches. The north wall ended about 40 feet in, leaving a very large open area beyond. There was a huge fireplace on the back wall. The eastern section was mostly empty, with hides and items all pushed up against the walls and corners near them. All the hobgoblins appeared to be working around the tables, while some of the kids were playing in the dirt on the floor. Latia fired an arrow as Nightwind threw his hammer, both aimed at males, while Jack cast Sleep. Lightmane and Jilgrath cast Magic Missile. The arrow and the hammer both found their target, damaging the hobgoblins. All the hobgoblins stopped what they were doing, grabbed their weapons, and charged. The males had longswords, the females had clubs, and the kids had knives. The party spread along the eastern wall. Jack's sleep spell dropped just 4 kids, leaving 3 still up. The magic missiles damaged the males coming at them. 8 male hobgoblins, 9 females, and 3 kids all attacked the party. Jack felt it too risky to cast another sleep spell now, as the magic can affect anyone in the area, so he cast Magic Missile, aiming it at a female on Phileas. John and Bill attacked one of the males. John's sword slashed across its body, but its armor absorbed some of the damage. One of the hobgoblins swung his sword at John, but he was able to block it. A female attacked Bill and just caught his leg a little with her club. Tenneth's mace hit a hobgoblin in his chest, hurting him badly. It attacked back, along with a female, but neither did any damage. Lightmane had a male and a female on him, but he blocked both their attacks and slew the male. Nightwind, now with his warhammer, dropped one of the 2 males that was attacking him, while easily blocking the other's sword. The male on Latia damaged her, but just barely, thanks in part to her armor, but her attack failed to do any damage. The male on Jilgrath hit him for quite a bit of damage, but the half-orc slew the male. while the female on him swung her club, but he easily avoided it. The hobgoblin's sword cut into Shinfia's upper body, but she struck the hobgoblin in his side and stunned him. She then quickly pulled out her dagger and slit its throat. 2 females were attacking Belfin. He killed one with his new dagger, but the other one hit him with her club, doing a small amount of damage. 2 females were also attacking Phileas. He tried casting Burning Hands, but one of their clubs caught his arm, disrupting the spell. The 3 kids each attacked someone with their knives, but none did any damage. The hobgoblin hit Bill and he dropped to his knees. John slashed back at it and it fell. The female tried to attack Bill, who was basically helpless now, but John blocked her attack and engaged her. Tenneth killed the male on him while the female tried to hit him, but did no damage. Lightmane cut into the female on him, killing it. Nightwind's hammer crushed the hobgoblin's head, while Atia's sword ripped through the male on her. The female's club, though, hit her in her side, but the damage wasn't that bad. Jilgrath easily killed the female on him, while Shinfia easily killed the female on Latia. All that remained turned to run, but there was nowhere to go. They screamed, but no one was nearby to hear them, as the party slaughtered them all. Searching the bodies gave them 51 copper and 20 silver coins. The party searched the room. The northern part of the western section of the room went back for 10 more feet and had a very large table running across it. Each of the smaller tables had 6 crude mugs and plates. Along the south wall were 6 barrels of beer, 6 sacks of bread, grain, and cheese, 3 crates of vegetables, and 4 boxes of salted meat. On the head table was a set of 4 pewter dishes and a cask of wine. All the food looked to be decent, so the party ate some of it and drank some of the beer, then took the pewter dishes and the cask of wine. The huge fireplace, which was over 15 feet wide, was carved into the wall and was all set to cook in, with pots and pans and wood everywhere. Tenneth cast Cure Light Wounds on Jilgrath and Bob. Bob was conscious, but could barely walk, so they threw some hides in the wheelbarrow, put him in it, and John and Jack pushed it. The party exited the room, went back down the stairs and down the passage to the northwest. Jilgrath helped them with the wheelbarrow down the stairs. It turned west and then went both west and south. They could hear voices to the south. They entered and saw 6 hobgoblins in a large 20 by 40 foot room. They were sitting at a table with 2 benches, eating and drinking and playing cards in a torchlit room. The party attacked and slew them, but not before they cut Lightmane, Shinfia, Jilgrath, and Belfin with their swords. They bound their wounds, and then Latia and Tenneth used their healing proficiencies on them, and Latia cast her healing spell on Shinfia. Shinfia, cast it on Lightmane. He's up front. Latia, he's wearing banded armor. You're wearing clothes. Shinfia, I'm a monk. I'll be fine. Heal the elf who's in the front. Latia chose not to argue with Shin. There were 52 copper and 17 silver coins on the table. They took the coins. The western passage turned north and then west again and ended in a door. Nightwind, okay, unless we missed something, this should be where the chief is. Lightmane, I doubt he's beyond this door, since no one came running out to attack us after that last battle. Nightwind, okay, so beyond this door is a room, and beyond that is their chief. Let's go. Everyone agreed. The door opened at the northern end of a huge 20-foot by 50-foot long room that was filled with armor and weapons. In the middle of the room was an open wooden chest that contained 16 daggers and 9 swords, 2 broadswords, 4 short swords, and 3 long swords, along with 6 barrels that had about 20 polearms and 30 spears total in them. Hung on racks on the east wall were the following suits of armor: 1 suit of human-sized plate mail, 4 suits of chain mail, 1 was sized for a dwarf, and 7 suits of human-sized leather armor. Hung on racks on the south wall were 11 shields, 6 small, 3 normal-sized, and 2 large shields, along with 22 helmets of various sizes, including 3 great helms. Hung on racks on the west wall were the following weapons: 3 battle axes, 5 maces, 2 short bows, 1 longbow, 10 quivers that each held 20 arrows, 14 arrows in one quiver had silver heads, and finally 13 crossbows, 11 light and 2 heavy, with 9 scores of bolts for the light crossbows and 1 for the heavy crossbows. The party was quite amazed at the arsenal that the hobgoblins had built up, and wondered how long they had been here, but there were no exits out of this room. Jack cast Detect Magic. Belfin's dagger radiated magic, but just slightly, but nothing else was magical. Nightwind: okay, so there's no exit, so we must have missed something. Jack: no, we didn't. Look at my map. There are no other passages. Latia: you drew a map? Jack: I've mapped everything. Look. Jack showed them all his maps. They were quite impressive looking. Shinfia: Jack, how are you able to do all this, especially without us even knowing? Jack: I don't know. I've always liked drawing maps. I'm quite good at it. Phileas: yes, you are. You're no YOLO, but these are good. But why have you never shown them to us until now? Jack: because there's been no reason to until now. Unless there are secret passages, we haven't missed a thing. Lightman: then there must be a secret passage somewhere that we missed. So let's start looking for it. Jack: start looking for it? Look at the size of this place. This could take forever, and that's assuming that there is one. Lightmane: well, there has to be, because if there isn't, then clearly these hobgoblins have no leader, and I seriously doubt that's the case. As Lightmane spoke, he noticed something a little odd in the middle of the west wall, next to one of the weapon racks. Lightmane: wait, look over here. Latia: okay, what are we looking at? I just see a weapon rack in the wall behind it. Lightmane, pointing to a part of the wall: look next to it. Right there. Latia saw it. The wall didn't quite line up at one point. Latia: is this a secret door? Lightmane: I believe it is. Nightwind: so the hobgoblin leader's room is hidden? Why? Jack, smiling: guess he likes his privacy. Maybe he's got a lot of wives, and he keeps them all to himself? Everyone just gave Jack a weird look. Hey, I'm just thinking out loud. Belfin: I'm wondering if we should rest one more time and cast our healing spells before venturing further. Man, I wish we had some healing potions. Hope we can buy some next time we're at the keep. Lightmane: well, if the hobgoblin chief is somewhere beyond this wall, then we should definitely rest. Latia: then we should have rested before we came in this room. Lightmane: you're right, we should have, but we didn't. So let's do it now. The party rested and was able to get their healing spells back in just a couple hours. During that time, they heard nothing. Shinfia: of all the caves we've been in, this one is the quietest by far, isn't it? Jack: yes, I was just thinking that. Jilgrath: well, if he's behind hidden passages, then perhaps no one ever sees him, except those who are with him. I'll be curious to see if there's another way out. Jack: I'm curious to see who else and what else is behind here. With everyone mostly healed now, Lightmane opened the secret door, which opened quite easily once he saw where to open it from. Lightmane: I doubt any hobgoblin could figure out how to open this door. Nightwind: maybe someone else showed them how it opens. Beyond was a passage that went 20 feet and ended. They assumed there must be another secret door, and there was. It wasn't very hard to find on this side. Beyond this door was an oddly shaped room, basically 20 by 20, with an extra 10 by 10 alcove in the northeast corner. The alcove had a door on the north and west walls. In the southwest corner sat 2 large hobgoblins, and in the northwest corner slept 2 more. When the party opened the secret door, the hobgoblins looked shocked. They just stared at them for a second, but when Nightwind threw his hammer and Latia fired her bow, they started screaming, which woke up the other 2. The hammer and the arrow both hit their target, killing the hobgoblin. The other charged at the dwarf as Nightwind reached for his warhammer. Lightmane's sword, though, slashed the goblin across its chest, and it cried out as its sword cut into Lightmane's side, causing the elf to also cry out. Nightwind's hammer crashed into its head, killing it, just as the other 2 came at them with sword and shield, wearing chainmail armor. The door on the north wall opened, and 2 more hobgoblins came through. wearing their typical thick leather armor while carrying a small shield and wielding longswords. Tenneth, seeing Lightmane was badly wounded, stepped in front of him, while Jilgrath moved west along the south wall. Jack cast Magic Missile, while Shinfia ran into the room and moved with Jilgrath in an attempt to flank the Hobgoblins, but there were 4 now, so in addition to one meleeing with Tenneth, Nightwind, and Latia, the 4th engaged Jilgrath, as well as Shinfia. One female Hobgoblin entered the room behind the 2 males. She had a small shield and wielded a short sword. The Hobgoblin on Latia hit her in her side with its sword, but the damage wasn't too bad. Latia's sword cut into the Hobgoblin, and it fell. She then hit the female, and it fell too. Nightwind blocked the Hobgoblin's attack and hit it with his warhammer, injuring it badly, but Jack's Magic Missile killed it. Jilgrath attacked, but the Hobgoblin was able to block, and his sword cut into the half-orc fairly well. Shinfia, though, struck it in its side with her fist, and again in his neck, stunning it. The Hobgoblin on Tenneth blocked the cleric's mace and cut him with its sword. Belfin and Phileas moved along the south wall, hoping to get behind a Hobgoblin, while the henchmen, John and Bill, stood at the doorway, ready to fight. Beyond the open door to the north, the party saw several more Hobgoblins coming up some stairs. Belfin, "Let them in and we'll get behind them." So Nightwind and Latia let them come, instead of meeting them at the door. Shinfia killed the stunned one, while Jilgrath helped Tenneth. Lightmane and Jack cast Magic Missile. 4 Hobgoblins came charging in, but one stopped and looked to his right. He then moved out of sight from the door. Their magic missiles targeted the same one, and it fell. The one on Tenneth hit him again, and he almost fell. But the cleric swung his mace and hit the Hobgoblin, and Jilgrath swung his sword and killed it. Nightwind once again easily blocked the Hobgoblin's attack, but his hammer missed this time. Latia also blocked the Hobgoblin's sword, while her sword smashed into its shield. But then both Phileas and Belfin struck them both from behind, and they both fell dead. Nightwind to Belfin and Phileas, "Both of you, get out of the way!" Belfin and Phileas, "What?" Then they saw everyone looking behind them, so they turned around and quickly backed away. A male Hobgoblin and 4 large female Hobgoblins stood just inside the room, but that's not what frightened them. Behind them, in the doorway, stood a huge Hobgoblin. He stood almost 7 feet tall and wore black plate mail with a large shield and a 4-foot-long sword. Typical longswords were around 3 feet in length. The Hobgoblin held a scroll in his hands and read from it, "Bow down to the great Hobgoblin King, Ragnarok. You are the first to ever set foot in his domain. Bow down now, or die." The 4 females and the male Hobgoblin moved to the side, and Ragnarok entered the room. Nightwind held up one of his hands, clearly motioning for everyone to hold and take no action. Latia, thinking to herself, "No, Nightwind, don't do it. Don't be a fool. Don't fall for this." Nightwind then looked back at Lightmane and silently mouthed one word. Lightmane appeared to understand. The dwarf then turned and looked up at the Hobgoblin, then slowly and quietly approached him. No one else moved, not sure what to do. Nightwind, "You're as tall as a bugbear, but more powerful, I believe." Ragnarok, looking down at the dwarf, "You are correct on both counts. Bow to me now, dwarf, and I shall let you live." Nightwind, "But Ragnarok, don't you want to know my name first, as well as the rest of these, before we all bow down to you?" Ragnarok, certain now that they all feared him and wished to surrender. "Yes, proceed." Nightwind, "I am Nightwind. This is Lightmane, Latia, Tenneth, Shinfia, Jack, Phileas, and Belfin, along with our 2 henchmen, John and Bill." Jilgrath had his cloak over his head. Ragnarok looked at him, since Nightwind hadn't introduced him yet. Nightwind, "Oh yes, one more. This is Ken Jilgrath, the half-orc." Gragnak looked a little caught off guard at the mention of a half-orc, Nightwind. But he's not just a half-orc. Gragnak looked down at the dwarf again. He's a half-orc barbarian necromancer. Gragnak had a slight look of concern on his face. And with his help, we've killed every goblin in this place. Gragnak now had a look of anger on his face. You're all that's left. But now it's time for you and your friends to sleep. Lightmane cast Sleep, centering the spell just behind Gragnak. It was a risk since it could affect anyone who was in range, but he took it. Jilgrath cast Ray of Fatigue at Gragnak. Tenneth cast his Hold Person spell, targeting the hobgoblin who held the scroll along with Gragnak. Nightwind took an aggressive stance, and Gragnak roared and swung his sword at the dwarf, but Nightwind ducked underneath, turned and struck Gragnak in his back. The females all collapsed, but it was hard to tell if Jilgrath's fatigue spell affected Gragnak. The damage from Nightwind's hammer was pretty good, but Gragnak turned, and his greatsword cut into the dwarf, knocking him down and damaging him badly. He slowly started to get up, as Jilgrath cast Darkfire at Gragnak. Belfin and Phileas hid in the shadows and slowly moved behind Gragnak. Latia swung her sword, but it clanged off his armor. Jilgrath's Darkfire spell streaked at Gragnak and burned his flesh. The hobgoblin who read the scroll was about to attack Nightwind from behind, but stopped moving. Gragnak, however, was still moving. Jilgrath then went into a berserker rage and charged Gragnak, and his sword somehow found its target. Gragnak was now badly wounded, but he let out a wail and thrust his sword at Jilgrath. Jilgrath's berserker rage, while it badly wounded Gragnak, left him vulnerable, and Gragnak thrust his great sword at Jilgrath, which ran right through his body and came out his back, just as Belfin's dagger cut into Gragnak's back, and he fell. Gragnak laid there, barely conscious, but Jilgrath was dead. Nightwind stood over the Hobgoblin King and looked down at him. Gragnak looked into the dwarf's eyes, but said nothing. The dwarf drew his battle axe and cut off Gragnak's head.